Well, if you've been paying attention, you might notice that the Democrats and the media spend an ungodly, borderline unhealthy amount of time declaring all things Republican evil to really distract from one simple, undeniable truth: that they are not who they claim to be. The media claims to be obsessed with truth and best practices for COVID-19, and yet they refuse to even acknowledge that they were used as signal boosters for lies and Chinese propaganda that made fighting this deadly coronavirus pandemic more difficult. Democrats claim to be obsessed with unity and equality, and yet they can't get through a single day without declaring that half of Americans are nothing more than racist, hateful oppressors. Now, the flaw in their logic is clear. Republicans are to be defined by the actions of the few, while the left and the media are immune from any criticism of the views and actions that often typify the majority of the people in their ranks. That, of course, is how the media can proclaim that President Trump was a monster whose immigration policies violated human rights, and then stay silent when President Biden continues the exact same border policy down in Mexico under a different name. That is how Democrats can declare that socialism is a right-wing scare tactic and then cheer when Bernie Sanders addresses a virtual DNC convention to declare that the values of his socialist movement are the new backbone of the modern Democratic Party. And that is how the collective left accuses Republicans of disseminating disinformation when we say quite clearly they're coming to get the guns. And yet when AOC tweets about doing just that, or Beto O'Rourke screams about it on the stage of a presidential debate, suddenly those opinions from their brightest stars are no longer relevant to the ambitions of the liberal movement. Now, let me be quite clear. Hypocrisy is not a partisan thing. There's no shortage of hypocrites roaming the political landscape in the name of conservatism and the Republican Party. But the self-righteous chest beating on the left that assumes that they and they alone are immune from the lesser angels of the human spirit is a scourge, destroying our capacity to usher in a newer world. Now, I hate the politics of the left, but I do not harbor any hatred for the people who believe in those politics. I despise the increasing inability of the media to ever acknowledge the reality that the views that they present are sometimes filled with personal bias. But I still revere the need for the news and the necessity for those views to remain available and uninfringed. Now, Joe Biden ran a campaign for president to guide America and our politics away from the rocky shores of our fracturing union. But if his administration refuses to practice the union they preach, and the media refuses to acknowledge that own basic truth, then not only have they no longer been who they claim to be, but America will remain derailed from achieving the more perfect union we have always been destined to become.